Hey, how's everybody? So we're back at the TDM850 TZR850 thingy-majiggy. Anyway, it's a nice warm day today. Yeah, it's been a little bit since I've done any videos. I've had to do some actual kind of worky work, and but things are kind of settled down a little bit. So we're going to tackle. Well, I'm just going to update you on stuff, and not only this motorcycle. I'm going to show you the Lancia also stuff that I got to do more stuff. Anyway, so what have I been doing? Yeah. Well, I guess I should do some close-ups. Okay, to start with, we have the oil cooler mounted in front of the radiator. So, yeah, I just mounted, just threw the radiator back on, and you can kind of see the clearance of everything around it. Totally able to remove the radiator with the oil cooler in place, and vice versa. Maintenance is always kind of at my forethought, because when you build stuff and you want to ride it around, you want to be able to work on it if it needs work without it being a massive thing. So yeah, I think that the airflow to everything will be just hunky-dory. You can see that nice air gap between them. It's kind of like, mounted standoffs, hanging from standoffs from the top of the radiator mounts. Right there. And yeah, so nothing is going to vibrate together or wear in that regard. And I think this will be a good solution for the cooling situation. I don't think, that the oil cooler is going to block or occlude the cooling efficiency of the radiator, and they will essentially complement each other in keeping the engine cool. And I'm looking forward to this little guy right here working as well as possible. Now you see this fitting where it goes in there. It doesn't just end at the tank, kind of like this fitting, which was the prior fitting. This goes deep into the tank, and there's a copper one that goes in here now, and essentially it is pushing oil instead of, because you really don't want the oil flow to froth the oil supply. So it's kind of ending up at this point. The oil level is probably going to be just slightly below that, and it is going to be essentially, pushing against the back wall of this, and then to refill the oil tank as it circulates. So that should, in theory, keep everything from getting aerated, and hopefully keep that oil cool. All right, moving on. Well, let's see, what else have I tackled? Let me just change my little view thingies. This is what I did in the first kind of iteration. I mounted the choke knob through this bolt, or this nut that locks the top triple clamp onto the steering stem. And it shoots right down and kind of exits below, and then comes up and goes to the carburetor. It's I think it's a pretty clean solution. I got the coolant circuit established in its final positioning. I think this is going to be a good solution. The thermostat is nice and low, and it comes up from the engine to the thermostat, and then comes up to this coolant cap, and then goes back out to the radiator through there. Yeah, the only thing really left to do on this one is to put the hose clamps on this. And also I extended the wiring harness for the fan switch and the temperature sensor and all that stuff. So and that was like kind of like all the way kind of back here-ish. You can kind of see. So yeah, that's extended. Yeah, I might add just cut a piece of aluminum plate to act as a further heat sink in connection with that rig rectifier right there. Yeah, and I've been getting the throttle cabling figured out. That's all good. That should run nice and clean to the carburetors. I got the, let me go around to the other side. I've got the clutch cable, and it goes down and comes down to here. And this is a TZR850 cable, and it mounts in its own place. I did modify it though, and I was able to shorten the cable because it comes out through the frame here and attaches to this little arm, which its position should be about right there when everything works. So I just need to solder, do a little bit of pot soldering, and solder a terminator end onto that so I can do the final length of that. Right, and so in conjunction with the cooling, where's my old plastic tank? Yeah. Oh! So this fella, this overflow tank, this is the TZR850 original one. It used to sit down by the rear shock, which is why it has that kind of round cutout. I kind of had, let's see, I had it kind of mounted up here, up near the front of the lights. And I thought that was really clever, but with these new YZF 600 handlebars and triple clamp, the the radial master cylinder brakes, the radial master cylinder, which is it's a more updated, more powerful braking piston master cylinder. That was running into that and interfering with that overflow tank, and also it was a kind of a knock-on effect. It was also knocking into the instrument binnacle. And so in the old iteration, I had to add limits to the steering lock, and I lost a fair bit of articulation with the steering because of that. With this setup now, I get almost full articulation, but I was running into that overflow tank, and so I got rid of that. And as a result of everything knocking together still on this, I switched over to the YZF 600 master cylinder that kind of came with this parts bike, and just used the YZF 600 hoses. I mean, everything goes together stock on this front end, so everything fits and everything works very well. Yeah, these are older hoses, older rubber hoses. I do have another setup over here with braided stainless hoses, which I guess I can put those on and upgrade the system later on if I feel the need to. But for right now, I think this is going to be just a fine solution until, as I kind of do some development testing and get this all worked out. Right. So, oh yeah, and so because of that remote overflow tank, I had to get rid of that, so I had to find another one. This little fella right here. This is, I don't know, it was on an Yamaha FJR 1300 parts bike. I don't know if it was stock to that bike, but yeah, it's a much smaller overflow tank, and I located it right here where kind of the fairing, the upper fairing kind of bolts into the frame, and it's pretty slim. I did have to trim a little bit out of the fairing for clearance around it, but it's pretty negligible. But I think that's going to be a good solution too. Other like little things that I did, yeah, these heel plates. I finished doing those, cleaning these up to make them a nice clean open design, so that I guess they're lighter and they just have a little bit more style instead of it being just a solid plate of aluminum. And so yeah, we are actually getting very, very, very close to startup. The next video essentially is going to be a startup video, and I'm sorry that this video isn't that. But yeah, this is going to be great to share this with you guys and hear this fire up for the first time with my modified exhaust system and everything else that I've changed on this. I am probably going to start it without coolant initially. I probably will put just a small token amount of coolant into the water pump to just kind of lubricate the seals and the bearings and all the wonderful stuff of that water pump, because that's been dry for a fair bit of time, and maybe I'll squirt some silicone in there also. But yeah, I'm just going to start this up using the oil system. I want to make sure to essentially have the radiator out of the way, so that, and I'm not going to start it up initially. I'm just going to run the starter with oil in the system to make sure it circulates and everything is moving well and lubricating well, and it's operating properly before actually firing it up. So that should be an interesting day and an interesting video, hopefully. Anyway, hopefully I'm not talking too loudly into the microphone. It's right in front of my face, and so I do apologize if it is getting too loud. All right, so let's move on to the next chapter of this video, where we talk about the Lancia. Oh, and also, I just did want to give a shout out to my brother Rand, who's been kind of pushing me and challenging me to do the best I can with this build, and really gave me some good pointers about kind of where to position the radiator cap, as far as being the highest point of the cooling system. And so I made, this bracket, which mounts everything, nice and secure, and which should also give access to the ever important oil cap. All right. So I will see you guys out of the man cave and in the garage.